Okay, how should I start this off? Do you know? Well, you will know. Um, I slept a lot today. Um, I got a couple of stories. Ever since I've been working on my family tree, I've been thinking a lot about some of the folks in my family, mainly my grandma and my grandpa. Or some people call me Upa. I think that's Scandinavian, I don't know. Anyway, my grandma Pearson on my daddy's side. I don't know a whole lot about my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side. I can't get past on my mother's side, my granddaddy. I cannot get past 1900 from when he was born. I did get his daddy's name, which was Tom Hope, but I can't get any further back than that. Now, on my grandmother's side, on my mama's side, I can get way back on her side, which is Batts, Batts. And my great granddaddy on my grandma's side, they were big time slave owners. I go all the way back on that side, all the way back to right at the 1600s. They owned a lot of slaves. Yes, it did. That disturbs me. I don't know why. I mean, that's just a product of that time. But that bothers me. At one time, one of the Batts family, they had a picture up on the ancestry thing of slave quarters at one of the plantations. I made a copy of that picture, but it bugs me no end to see it. I won't even post it. But that's on my mother's side. My daddy's side goes way back, 1600s. And I actually got one name in there that was born in the 1500s. My Pearson family originally came from England or Great Britain or the UK, whatever you want to call it, and Scotland. I don't know if Scotland is considered UK or not, but they're from that country over there. But I want to talk about my grandmama. When my grandmother on my mother's side died in 1951, my grandmother, my daddy on the Pearson side, she took me to the funeral home because they had an open casket on my grandmother. And I don't think my grandmother Pearson meant to be rude or inconsiderate. It was just her way. And I'd never seen a dead person before, and I've never been in a funeral home. And we were standing there looking at my grandmama laying in that casket. And Grandma Pearson, she chimed in and said, well, she don't know nothing now. And I don't know how to take it. I don't know if she was inferring something or what, but that's just that cold and callous the way she said it. But talk about old school. Grandmama was old school. She was a Seventh-day Adventist. Lord have mercy. I had to suffer through a lot of stuff when I was having to stay with her or something. Oh my goodness. She was one that always told me that when it started storming, come inside, sit down, be still. It's the Lord's work. And if it come a big clap of thunder, she would go, what did she say? It's like, hallelujah, it's the Lord's working and stuff like that, you know, and she was just really strange. And she was real quick to pull out a hickory switch when you done something she didn't like. And she'd wear you out with that thing. And if you had long pants on, you had to pull your pants down before she could connect with skin. She wouldn't get away with that now, in this day and time. I never hit Jennifer but one time. And it was when I caught her smoking. And it really wasn't a bad hit. It was just smacked her on the ass. That was the only time. Never spanked one of my grandbabies. Never. I don't recall her ever spanking any of them. But boy, Grandmama lived. And you know, one time, Grandmama couldn't drive, so Granddaddy had a car. He had a 36 DeSoto. But Grandma couldn't drive, and when we was going somewhere, we had to walk down the side of the road. And Grandmama wore these fairly long dresses. And there was many a time that we'd be walking down the road, and all of a sudden Grandma would step over there by the ditch, if it was a ditch, or just step over there on the ground, and she kind of hiked that dress up, not high, just above her knees, and she spread her legs and pissed or pee. So that means she didn't have any bloomers on. Yes, she would. She just step over and psh, just like she did that night. She did it outside the door of the house, and I was peeing out the window upstairs on Grandma when I peed on Grandma. But one time she stepped over there and she started peeing, and all of a sudden I had to pee. So I figured since she was peeing, I could pee, and I whipped it out and I started peeing in the ditch. Well, she switched me good for that, telling me that wasn't nice and all that stuff, and she spanked me good. And George and Carolyn, they was with us, my sister and George, my brother. They thought that was funny. And daggone, she didn't go over and start spanking on Carolyn and George for laughing at me. And let me tell you something. A lot of people say, well, Mama and Daddy whips me, it don't hurt. I'll guarantee you, if they was getting whipped by my grandmama, it hurt. Cause she'd wear you out with that hickory switch. And she always had a switch. Always. I love Grandma. But boy, she didn't spare the rod, that's for sure. And I never had one of my aunts or uncles to give me a spanking. I had them get really upset at me at times, especially Uncle Kenneth. We was getting in tobacco, and my job, I had a mule and a sled, and I had to go out in the field where they was picking tobacco leaves, and just loading my sled. I was coming in between the roads, they'd load my sled up, and then I had to drive that sled on with that mule all the way back over to the tobacco barn where they were tying the tobacco on the sticks. And I had just took a load to the tobacco barn, and there was this girl, y'all heard me talk about Pat. I was trying to impress her and everything, jerked the reins on that mule and it spooked him. And he took off, run out in the tobacco field and messed up a couple of rows of tobacco. Uncle Kenneth always said, he tore up 2 rows of tobacco before I get that dang mule stopped. He was really upset at me about that. Shoot. One day when we got done working in the tobacco and I had to head the mule and slid back to the barns, you know, where the mule stayed, and it's going down the road, and I didn't think the mule was going fast enough, and we went by some limbs, tree limbs and stuff, and I started breaking off a limb, and that mule didn't have any blinds on. He should have had, but I forgot to put them on. And that sucker seen me get that limb, and man, he took off. He must have run a mile past the house and the barn before he decided to stop. And here come Uncle Kenneth in his Willis Jeep. And he got everything settled down and asked me why I hadn't put the blind and stuff on the mule. He said, that mule sees you get a limb, he's going. That was, I was 14. I didn't like that mule at all. I don't guess nobody uses horses and mules anymore, do they? Maybe in some other countries. I didn't mind working at Uncle Edward's because you didn't have to mess with no mules. Uncle Edward had tractors. And one day, me and Uncle Edward's boy, Timmy, my cousin, we were just out fooling around, playing and stuff, and we went over to the barn where the tractors were. There were 4 tractors there. And we went over and got on one tractor, and by gosh, I don't know if Timmy did it or if I did it, but they had a button thing that started the tractor. We didn't know what we didn't know that's what it was, and we was just messing with levers and stuff on the tractor, and pushed that button, and the dang thing started. And it's sitting there idling, and it scared the crap out of us. Me and him took off, left that tractor running, and the next day, Uncle Edward was saying somebody stole gas out of one of our tractors, said it was plumb empty. And what it was, that tractor run out of gas and just shut itself off. Me and Timmy never fessed up to that. Oh. My cousin Timmy. His daughter, he had a daughter. She didn't like me. She's probably, if she still lives, she still don't like me. And Timmy, her daddy, asked her one time, "What do you got against Mackie?" And his daughter said, "He's too risque." Too risque. I was talking about some woman's butt, and that just ticked her off. She didn't tell me that. She told Timmy that. Timmy told me. Oh gosh. Timmy was one of my favorite cousins, but he was a year or two younger than me. He died. He died at 54 years old. Went to church one day. With his wife and probably one of his kids. And on the way back home, they stopped at a restaurant and eat a meal. And he was complaining about he didn't feel good. And all of a sudden he started coming, pass out and stuff. Took him to the hospital and he died that afternoon. And he was a farmer. He took over the farm, his daddy's farm. He was a farmer. Um, 54 years old. My granddaddy Hope, when he died, he was 58. Granddaddy Pearson, when he died, he was almost 90. Grandma Pearson died about 65, 66. And Grandmama Hope, when she died, she was like 53. Some of the people in my family have lived a lot of years. Some of them not lived long at all. My daddy-in-law, and I call him Daddy, he died at 62 years old. When he turned 62, he applied for his Social Security. And a month later, he got his first Social Security check. I don't know how much it was, but he got his first check. And then the next week, he died. He got that one check. He died next week. And him and Jennifer, my daughter, he loved Jennifer. And he loved Bud. He called Bud Bubblins. And every time he was asking him about did he want a bottle, he'd say, "You want some Sweet Journey?" That was my daddy-in-law. At that time, I didn't know his brother Walter, Uncle Walter, was a Korean War vet. Didn't know that. I wish I knew it at the time. Anyway, ain't much to do about nothing today, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm gonna take my glasses off. I see that light reflecting in my glasses. I just filled out a thing with Amazon. I'm returning that battery charger and get my $55 back. But that's my story, folks, and I'm sticking to it. And I'll see you in the next one. See ya.